The Tuvans or Tuvinians are a Turkic ethnic group living in southern Siberia. They are historically known as one of the Uriankhai, from the Mongolian designation. The Tuvans' recent ethnic history is rooted in Mongol, Turkic, and Samoyedic groups of peoples. Tuvans have historically been cattle-herding nomads, tending to their herds of goats, sheep, camels, reindeer, cattle and yaks for the past thousands of years. They have traditionally lived in yurts covered by felt or chums covered with birch bark or hide that they relocate seasonally as they move to newer pastures. Traditionally, the Tuvans were divided into 9 regions called khoshuun, namely the Tozhu, Salchak, Oyunnar, Khemchik, Khaasuut, Shalyk, Nibazy, Daavan Choodu, and Beezi. The first 4 were ruled by Uriankhai Mongol princes, while the rest were administered by Borjigin Mongol princes. History. Besides prehistoric rock carvings to be found especially along the Yenisei banks, the first internationally important archaeological findings have been near Artsan, in the north-central Tuva. Here Scythian kurgan burials are being researched, revealing the earliest and easternmost remains of these people who spread all the way to Europe. Their story and fantastic gold treasures can be appreciated in the National Museum in Khaasuut. The Khoshuun ruled over the area of Tuva prior to 200 AD. At this time a people known to the Chinese as Dingling inhabited the region. The Chinese recorded the existence of a tribe of Dingling origin named Dubo in the eastern Saiyans. This name is recognized as being associated with the Tuvan people and is the earliest written record of them. The Xianbu defeated the Khoshuun and they in turn were defeated by the Roran. From around the end of the 6th century, the Gar paragraph Kta 1/4 AKS held dominion over Tuva up until the 8th century when the Uyghurs took over. Tuvans were subjects of the Uyghur Khanate during the 8th and 9th centuries. The Uyghurs established several fortifications within Tuva as a means of subduing the population. There are plans being discussed to restore the remains of one of these fortresses, Pobazin in Lake Tokol in the southeast of the country. The memory of Uyghur occupation could still be seen up until the end of the 19th century due to the application of the name Onda Uyghur for the Onda Tuvans living near the Khemchik River in the southwest. Uyghur dominance was broken by the Yenisei and Khaijais in 840 AD, who came from the upper reaches of the Yenisei. In 1207, the Oirat prince Kudkbeki led Mongol detachments under Jakai to a tributary of the Korkum River. They encountered the Tuvan Kesdims, Bates, and Teliks. This was the beginning of Mongol suzerainty over the Tuvans. After the collapse of the Nayman Khanate, Tuvans moved to modern Mongolia and some Naymans moved to modern Kazakhstan territory. Tuvans came to be ruled for most of the 17th century by Kaka Mongol leader Sholoyabashi's Altan Khan Khanate. It was at this time in 1615 that the first Russians, Tuvnets and I Petrov, visited Tuva as emissaries to the Altan Khan. Russian documents from this time record information about different tribal groups that contributed to the composition of modern Tuvans. Tuvnets and Petrov describe the Mards, who became Russian subjects in 1609, living in the Bekum Basin, a 14 days ride from Tomsk. The Mards traveled to the area of the Khemchik and Ulugkum next to the lands of the Altan Khan near the Lake Ovsnu. The ambassadors also described the Sayan raising reindeer with a Tokai from the Sayan to the Altai mountain ranges. The descendants of the Yaks Sayan and Kara Sayan live mostly around Tokol Rayon. The state of the Altan Khan disappeared due to constant warring between the Oirats and the Kaka of Jaza Takar Namag. The Tuvans became part of the Dzungarian state ruled by the Oirats. The Dzungas ruled over all of the Sayano-Altai plateau until 1755. It was during this time of Dzungarian rule that many tribes and clans broke up, moved around, and intermingled. Groups of Altai and Telengits settled in western Tuva on the Khemchik and Barlik rivers and in the region of Baitaga. Some Tadshans, Sayans, and Mangats ended up in the Altai. The Manchu Qing dynasty migrated other Tuvans north across the Sayan range and they became known as Bilturs. The languages of the Bilturs and Tuvans still contain common words not found in the language of the other Kyrgyz. Other Russian documents mention Yenisei and Khaijais, Orshaks and Kukugits moving into Tuva from the north. Besides the Turkic tribes mentioned above, There is indication that modern Tuvans are descended also from Mongolic, Samoyedic, and Khatic groups of peoples. Of the extinct southern Samoyed groups, Mata, Khoibil, Khamas, and Karagas were assimilated mostly into the eastern Tuvans such as the Tuvans, Tufalas, Soyots, and Ukka. The Urgut tribe is also suggested as being from Samoyedic ancestors. The Tuvan name for the Yenisei River may stem from an ancient Samoyedic name. Tribes such as Tomat, Mangat, Mongosh, and Salchak are recognized as having a Mongolic origin. According to Elias Zakharov of the Moscow's Vavilov Institute of General Genetics, genetic evidence suggests that the modern Tuvan people are the closest genetic relatives to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The name Uriankhai . There doesn't seem to exist a clear ethnic delineation for the application of the name Uriankhai. Mongols applied this name to all tribes of forest people. This name has historically been applied to Tuvans. In Mongolia there are peoples also known by this name. A variation of the name, Uriankhai, was an old name for the Saukha. Russian Pavel Nibolson documented the Uriankhai clan of Volga Kalmyks in the 1850s. Another variant of the name, Uriankhai, was traditionally used by the Koreans to refer indiscriminately to barbarians that inhabited the lands to their north. There are two groups under the name Uriankhai, Mongol Uriankhai, Uriankhai of mixed Mongol-Turkic origin. All clans of the Mongol Uriankhai are Mongol, and Tuva Uriankhais of both Mongol and Turkic clans. In the beginning of the Mongol Empire, the Mongol Uriankhai were located in central Mongolia, but in the mid-14th century they lived in Liaoyang province of modern China. In 1375, Nagachu, Uriankhai leader of the Mongolia-based Northern Yuan dynasty in Liaoyang province, invaded Liaodong with aims of restoring the Mongols to power. Although he continued to hold southern Manchuria, Nagachu finally surrendered to the Ming dynasty in 1387–88 after a successful diplomacy of the latter. After the rebellion of the northern Uriankhai people, they were conquered by Daavan Khan in 1538 and mostly annexed by the northern Korkor. Batmonk Daavan Khan dissolved Uriankhai Tumen and moved them to Altai Mountains and Korkor land. Currently, Tuvans form a large majority of the population in Tuva Republic. According to the 2010 Russian census, there was a total of 249,299 Tuvans who resided within Tuva. This represented 82.0% of the total population of the republic. In addition, Tuvans have a much higher fertility rate than Russians and the other Slavic peoples, while the median age of the Tuvan population is much lower than Russians. This basically ensures that the Tuvan population would continue to grow during the foreseeable future. Geography. There are two major groups of Tuvans in Tuva, Western Tuvans and Tuvans Tudzins. The latter ones live in Tudzhinsky district, Tuva Republic, and constitute about 5% of all Tuvans. A people similar by language to Tuvans live in Okhar district of Buryatia, sometimes referred to as Okhar Tuvans. Mongolia A noticeable proportion of Tuvans lives in Mongolia. The Dukha live in Kar paragraph VSGA paragraph Lamag. The largest population of Tuvans in Mongolia are the Tsenjal Tuvans. Around 1,500 live in Tsenjal, some of Bayan Algia Mag. Other Tuvans live in Khovda Mag and in Urbsuna Hollow. China Tuvans in China, who live mostly in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region, are included under the Mongol nationality. Some Tuvans reportedly live at Lake Karnas in the northwestern part of Xinjiang in China, where they are not officially recognized, are counted as a part of the local Oirat Mongol community that is counted under the general label Mongol. Oirat and Tuvan children attend schools in which they use Chokha Mongolian and Chinese, native languages of neither group. Culture. The famous bogtuk headdress worn by women seems to have been restricted to married women of very high rank. Also, this headdress worn by the Tuvan women of very high rank in the 13th century. Language. The Tuvan language belongs to the northern or Siberian branch of the Turkic language family. 4 dialects are recognized: Central, Western, Southeastern and Northeastern. The written language is based on Cyrillic. A talking dictionary is produced by Living Tongues Institute. Religion equals, the traditional religion of Tuvans is a type of Tengriism, or Turkic animistic shamanism. The religion is still widely practiced alongside Tibetan Buddhism. Music equals. A unique form of music exists in Tuva, commonly known as throat singing or as kumu. There are various techniques of kumu, some giving the effect of multiple tones by emphasizing overtones. Some famous groups from Tuva who featured throat singing are Yatkar, Herman Hutu, Churjilchin and the Alash Ensemble. A documentary called Genghis Blues was made in 1999 about an American blues jazz musician, Paul Penner, who taught himself overtone singing and traveled to Tuva to compete in a throat singing competition. Notable people: Gales and Chinak, Kurt Gankheimer Toka, Car 1/4 N Car 1/4 Ata 1/4, Sergei Shoigu, Konga Olonda. See also: List of indigenous peoples of Russia, List of Tuvans, Tuva, Tanu Uriankhai, Pobazin. Notes. References. External links. Research among the Tuvans in South Siberia, reindeer people resort to eating their herds with photo gallery, Tuva, San Mountains, Singing Stones, the Republic of Tuva.